Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what time it is. Let's go. Now you can't leave. Well, well, well. Welcome back to Icopod. Uh, you know what time it is. Yeah, man. Pop in, pop in. Come on into the chat. Let's kick it. I had several requests to respond to this particular video, and we gonna talk about it. So, what's happening, Mo Wheat? Yeah, that scene. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I when I saw the other video that we're going to talk about today. That Bronx Tale scene was legendary. Now you can't leave, and you know there had to be people who were in that congregation. Like I should have left when I had the chance. What's happening, y'all? Come on into the chat. Say what's up. Greet one another in reason's name. And I don't know if you're at work sneaking a peek or if you just have that kind of freedom. But we're gonna have some fun. Let me join y'all in the chat and see what's popping. Hey Kim, what's going on? What's going on? Where's it at? As long as you're here, do us a favor. Like something, subscribe something, drop a comment. And I remind you guys, feel free. Yes, definitely feel free. I'm not going to command you. I'm not going to lock the doors and make sure that you share. But feel free to share this content with others. Spread the word. I actually am a lot more free these days than I've been in a very, very long time, which is why I'm popping online so much. So instead of working on audio books and other creative projects that I'm doing, I'm taking a period just to be for a while, to exist and enjoy the fruits of my labor. And yeah, I'm peeping. Yeah, me too. I would be extremely, extremely. Well, you know, like, what would you have done? We're gonna play the video in a second, but just think, what would you have done if you were in that crowd? And this is a great follow-up because Tuesday when I popped online, we were talking about a different church service where somebody joined the church and the pastor gave them $50,000 for driving from the west coast of Canada to southeastern United States to join this church. So we talked about that a few days ago, and then turn around and we got this one. Instead of the church giving 50,000 to somebody, now you got a church demanding 40K. But even in the video that I talked about the other day with the pastor giving $50,000 to the one dude, something I didn't think about before that hit me as I was thinking more about it is, do you know what kind of pressure that puts somebody under to perform? Like, remember he said, we're going to give you a check, 2 checks. We're going to give out $50,000. And the guy was like, no, 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 no. And the pastor was saying, yes, 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 yes. Don't block my blessing. Don't block my blessing. But the guy was like, no, 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 no. I want the spiritual money. But one of the things I thought about is, like, you see this all the time in professional sports. You see it NBA, especially in the NFL, when they sign a player and they give him, let's say, he's going to get $100 million over the next 2 years, whatever it is, some outrageous figure. I think about in Philly, right? Joel Embiid, or, you know, different players that we've had in Philly over the years. If you give somebody all this money, the crowd, the fans, they're going to expect that person to perform at that level. So can you imagine, like, let's say being a player on a team and they give you a, you know, multi-$100 million contract, and then you get injured or something happens that keeps you on the bench. You know how the crowd, you know how the fans are looking at you. You know how your teammates are looking at you. We gave you all that money. You took us over the salary cap, and now we can't do other things we need to do with that money because we gave it to you, and you're not even out here on the floor performing. Imagine being at a church that grants that gives you $50,000 for coming to join, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you don't feel like serving on this committee or that committee, or maybe you don't feel like God's called you to do that. That's not my ministry, is the language we used to use. Or, well, let's just deal with that. You're there. They've given you 50K already. The pressure that's on you to almost feel like you, even though we say it's all by grace and all that, but the pressure to feel like you've earned it, the pressure to feel like it was worth giving you this gift. Now you've got to perform. And then imagine, because this is also what happens a lot of the times, because you're used to putting spiritual language on natural things, you felt drawn to a place, but you feel like instead of saying you felt drawn, you put it in spiritual language and say the Holy Spirit drew you to that place. He called you, he led you to that place. Well, what happens when your natural desires, inclinations, maybe even felt needs lead you to go somewhere else? And even if you put it in the spiritual language of God's calling me elsewhere, can you even follow your heart in that case when they've already given you $50,000 to come and be there? So I don't know, that was kind of wild to think about, the pressure it puts on someone to perform. Well, that was that case. But now we get to jump ahead and deal with another case. So you've heard about it. Maybe you've seen the video already, but we're going to dive into it. And I'm going to be honest, for me, the video was outrageous itself. We got a thank you, Amateur Overlord, for the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate that. No one can leave until they drop a super chat. You guys are all hostage here. You must drop a super chat before you leave. So here goes the video in case you haven't seen it, but I'm going to be honest with you. The video itself was enough to react to. I'm going to spend more time today, I think, reacting to the response that Marvin Sapp put out. More time responding to that than the actual video. But this is Marvin Sapp, well-known gospel singer from back in the day. And he was at a church and he decided he was going to help the church make rent. He was going to help them with their costs. And this was how he did it. So let's see, where is it? All right.
They understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
Before I go any further, I just want to, in the chat, just talk to me. You're in a church service, and I'm going to ask you to do what we often do here on Ichabod. Don't do it in the mindset that you have now. Now, if you've deconverted, or even if you're deconstructing, now you're much more free to call BS BS. You're much more sacrilegious and ready to just throw a middle finger up to anybody talking this kind of shit. But put yourself back in the mindset that you had when you were a believer. At your most fervent stage, you're in a church, they've taken an offering. Some kind of way, the minister knows this offering is not going to cut it. We need to do another one. And then somebody jumps on and says, close those doors. What are you thinking? What are you doing at your believing stage? What are you doing if this happens? Talk to me in the chat. What's going on? Are you making up in your mind they can do whatever they want, I'm just not going to give? Or are you getting out of there? Are you going to test? Are you going to cause a scene and test the usher's willingness to listen to the man of God and close those doors? What are you doing at that stage? Yeah, he's the singer of Never Would Have Made It. Never would have made it. Uh, yeah, what are y'all doing? Talk to me in the chat. I'm gonna take them back while you type in your responses.
And they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. It's a
Okay. Observe, but never come back. Okay. I'm not giving shit. All right. But are you remaining in your seat? Like, they're basically barricading you in. How do you feel? I'm probably thinking, this is why I go. This is why I go to white churches. Well, I don't know. You get up in that prosperity gospel. I don't know that they've not done this in white churches, but I hear you. I'm likely a little scared, but probably submitting to it. And that's real. That's real. Many of us did not think we had the right, the authority, didn't think we had the ability to buck the system. I'm going to pull out my phone and record. I had always been skeptical. I don't think my principals would have allowed me to pay. I wouldn't stay in my seat though. Okay. Yeah. Is it Ron Parsley or Rob Parsley? I think it's Rob Parsley, R-O-B. Yeah, he was doing that kind of stuff. So basically he says to the ushers, I said close the door. So basically he had said it already and they didn't listen. So the ushers were already like, I don't know what type of time you on. He said it. They didn't do it. He reiterates, I said close those doors. Let's let them cook.
the doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
And even the way he's saying it, I said close the door, close the door. Like, he's, even in his voice and his inflections, he's almost admitting, I know how crazy this is, but I said it, close the door. Yeah, I said close the door. Even in his voice, you can already hear, this is not normal, this is not cool, but he's doing it anyway.
It's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. Now, everyone up here, we've all sowed and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again,
he's asking people in the congregation, he's not asking them to give $40,000. He's not even asking them to give 1,000. He's asking them to give $20. He says, I got 1,000 of you in here. If you give 20, and then the 1,000 watching online, if they give 20, that's $40,000. So does it, talk to me in the chat, does it make it better that he's not barricading you in for the 40K in your 401k? He's only barricading you in for $20 each. Does that make it any better? It's only $20 he's asking from you. Or maybe I should say it's only $20 more because they've already given. It's only $20 more. Does that make it better? Is it less of an offense knowing that that's all he's asking from you? What do you say? Talk to me in the chat. If you know he's only asking you for $20, I said close the doors because I need you to give another $20. Does that make it better? Easier to bear?
if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. Now, everyone up here, we've all sowed and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100.
And does this make it better? Because he's not just asking you all in the crowd to give 20. He turns to the people on the podium with him and says, and I need you all to sow a seed of $100. So he's getting them to lead by example. All the ministers, you all have to sow $100. Does that ease it on you as a member of the congregation? Does that make it better? Because you're only giving 20 more. People on stage got to give $100. Does that help? Kim says, no, not okay. What if I came with 3 kids? So look, my $20, you don't know what that $20 means to me. All right, I hear you. It's the principle. Sam says, it's the principle for me. I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it was of God. Okay, got you. Got you. Well, he does say, well, let me let him play, because he does talk about what he's sowing. So let's let him go.
Now, everyone up here, we've all sowed and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. And this.
So he says, everybody up here, including himself, we've all sowed and seeded. It costs to sit up here. That could be a reference to a lot of things. He could be saying a lot just in terms of the cost of being a leader. And maybe that cost is leading by example. He probably is not saying what a lot of people took this to mean, like the people bought their bishopships or bought their way in. He's probably not saying you got to be paying money to sit up here. I think he's saying the cost is leading by example. But either way, that's a bugged out thing to say. It costs to sit up here. Let's let him go.
Because again, it costs to sit up here. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm going to have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving.
Damn. So you can't just sit in your seat and go online and like, who the hell is this for? If you're giving to God and God knows what's going on in your heart, I mean, you're told in the Bible, you don't even got to pray. Your Heavenly Father, not that you don't have to pray, but your Heavenly Father knows what you need before you even ask it. You're told also not to do your good deeds before men. Do it in private before your Heavenly Father. Do it in your closet. He sees, he'll reward you. But Marvin Sapp says, no, even if you're giving electronically, come up here and do it. I need to put my eagle eyes on you. I need to see 1,000 people moving. This is some crazy shit. Like when I say on the podcast sometimes, I will never, ever again let anybody speak to me in a God tone. This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Who do you think you are? You're like putting yourself under the authority of a spiritual shepherd and all that. That gives people access to your life. That gives people weight and responsibility. And a lot of times people give up that weight and responsibility because they don't want to have it on their own shoulders, right? You grow up, you go outside of the jurisdiction of mom and dad, but then you realize, damn, that's kind of heavy. That's kind of weighty. I still like it when someone else takes the blame, takes the weight, responsibility for my life. Putting yourself up under that kind of a mantle gives people the room and the right to talk to you like that. To me, that's enough of a reason to get the hell out of religion, because why would you give that kind of authority away to anyone to tell you, I need to see, even if you're giving electronically, I need you to come up here and do it because I need to see this. The fuck are you?
Come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it.
Y'all start moving. So remember on the last episode, we're talking about the guy giving, we're talking about just the way that the tithe is used in the church. I said, it sounds like a pimp talking to a prostitute on the street. I know you made the money, but you only made the money because I put you out there. Now bring me the money you made and I'll let you know how much you can keep. This dude says, y'all start coming. Like, man, who you talking to? Who you talking to? And now granted, he would say, of course I'm not talking to you, Brady. You're outside of the jurisdiction. But those who are under the sound of my voice, those who are under this covenant with God, I'm talking to them. Yeah, well, guess what? Sucks to be them.
Here, I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come.
He snapped his fingers. You hear that? Y'all start moving. Look at the false sense of power that ministry gives to people. That you could snap your fingers to a crowd of people and tell them, y'all start moving to come give up your money.
Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints.
And he uses that language to rope you back in case you was about to get back in your mind. Because I'm sure there were people saying, like, I'm about to lose my salvation up in here, right? The things we used to say as Christians. I'm about to go back to how I used to act in situations like this. But just in case you're about to do that, let me use the language that's going to dead that part of you. Let me call you a saint, because as a saint, you can't act like an ain't if you're a saint. Y'all start moving, saints. As long as I'm using that language, it's almost like you brainwash somebody or you hypnotize somebody and they start coming out of it, but then you got these little code words. You can use the code words to get them back under the spell. If I call you a saint, well, now you're back under the trance again. You was coming out of it. You were coming to your senses. I start employing this language, and now you're back under the spell. That was crazy as hell. But I'll tell you what was crazier to me. What was crazier was once he started getting put on blast, because of course the video went viral and everybody's talking about, yo, you're holding people hostage to give. He goes online on his Facebook page and tries to explain himself. So what we're going to do is take a look at Marvin Sapp's explanation and see if this makes any sense here. All right. What do we want? We want share screen. Sharing screen works. Hold on. I thought I had it all mapped out, but now I don't know how to share this window. Slides and PDFs, extra camera. I'm going to share a screen. Hopefully this will do what I needed to do. Select the window. Boom, that's what I want. Google Chrome. Damn it. I thought it was going to let me do it. All right, I got to do it a different way because allow StreamYard to share your screen. I said allow. Okay, so I can't do it that way. All right, sorry. I thought I was going to share this screen, but what I'm going to do is I'll just read it. This is Marvin Sapp. And he says, let's add context to the clip on social media. Okay. Adding context is going to make it better. That's the premise he's operating on. Recently, a clip has gone viral of me challenging 2,000 individuals virtually and in person to plant a seed. Of course, the language is important. Plant a seed, right? You know that that's manipulative because they have no control over whether or not you giving this money turns into more money for you. But the idea is it's a seed. You're not coming up off your cash. You're putting your cash, and it's an investment. Basically, it's a spiritual investment. To plant a seed of $20 during an international gathering held at a convention center with over 4,000 people. I also challenged the leadership to lead by example, sowing $100 that evening. I personally gave much more. So he's trying to say, hey, I'm not trying to get them to do anything I hadn't done. I gave more. All right. Some have taken issue. Now, listen to this explanation. This is Trumpian in a sense. If you think about the way the Trump administration, they get caught in some BS and then they try to spin it to make it seem like it wasn't as crazy as it looks. Listen to what he's going to say here. Some have taken issue with a particular moment. The whole thing wasn't bugged out. It was a moment. With a moment when I instructed the ushers rather firmly to close the doors during the offering. To those, this is gaslighting at the highest level. Listen to this. To those unfamiliar with the church context or who may not regularly attend worship gatherings, this has been misinterpreted as holding people hostage as well as offensive. That was never my intent. So only if you're unfamiliar with the church context would you be offended by this or think that I'm holding people hostage. I was not unfamiliar. I've been in very many church services. I'm familiar with how the offering goes, even when you're taking 2 or 3. I'm familiar. He says, the truth is, when finances are being received in any worship gathering, it is one of the most vulnerable and exposed times for both the finance and security teams. Movement during this sacred exchange can be distracting and at times even risky. All right. So the justification is this is a sacred exchange. Once again, the language employed to make you feel like I can't treat this like I want to treat it. Why? Because I'm a saint and he just told me that this is a sacred exchange. Okay. It feels like I'm just giving you my money, but it's sacred. Okay. Because I'm not really giving it to you. I'm giving it through you. I'm giving it through you to God. So that makes it sacred. So all this language is meant to disarm you. And because this is a sacred time, it's a vulnerable time, movement during this sacred exchange can be distracting and at times even risky. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you're nobody who's listening to this, I'm sure, is tempted to believe this bullshit. But if you are tempted to believe it, if movement during this time is so risky and distracting, did you lock the doors during the first offering? Because if you didn't lock the doors during the first offering, it was a sacred exchange then. I was giving up my money then. It was distracting and risky to have movement then. Why didn't you lock the doors then? You're locking them now because now you're saying, we can't leave until we do this. Now you can't leave. You could have left before, but now that I told you we need to get 40 G's up in here tonight, now you can't leave. That's why you're locking the doors. You're not locking the doors because it's sacred, because, hey, we don't want any distractions. Ooh, this is risky. It's bullshit. You're locking the doors because you lock the doors. Lock the door. Even the inflection in his voice when he was telling them to lock the doors showed that he knows I'm doing something that's I'm off the rails here. But now, because I'm catching flat, I'm going to tell you, movement during this sacred exchange can be distracting, at times even risky. My directive was not about control. It was about creating a safe, focused, and reverent environment for those choosing to give and for those handling the resources, for those choosing to give. Well, whether or not I'm choosing to give, what you're robbing me of is the chance to choose whether or not I want to stay in here. I'm choosing to leave, but you're locking the door. So fuck those choosing to give. I don't have the choice of whether or not I want to be here anymore. This is a hostage situation. You've kidnapped me. It's not about me choosing to give. I didn't choose to stay here. Fuck are you talking about? For those choosing to give. And I'm sorry, I'm dropping a lot of F-bombs in this because this is the bullshit that makes me say Granted, I didn't leave religion for any of this. I was never in the kind of churches that did this kind of stuff. I thought the churches that I was in were sound churches that you would never be exposed to this. But the fact of the matter is, the institution itself lends itself to this kind of abuse. Like, there are very many Christians who would want to jump on and say, Brady, but you can't say all churches are like that. That's just him. That's just them. That's just some. That's just some denominations. You can't say, Brady, come on now. You know, like I know there's guys in my old group who would say, I can hear them. They would say, come on, Brady, now you know, you've been in churches. You know that the churches that are sound don't operate like that. Yeah, I know. But the problem is, just think about it. The churches that are sound don't operate like that. But the church is a unified body. This is the quote unquote body of Christ. And Jesus is the head of his church. If he's the head of his church and the rest of the whole church, they're all just body parts, you can't disown another part of your body and say, oh, that ain't all of us. Maybe the hand don't do that. The right hand will do it. The left hand is doing that. Okay, same body. And if Jesus is the head, who's in control of the body? So Jesus does a terrible job of reigning in and reigning over his church. If the Christian who says this is a misrepresentation of what the church is, okay, Jesus is allowing it. Jesus is allowing this. If you knew that somebody was out there misrepresenting your name, talking shit about you, lying on you, saying that you wanted things that you didn't want, saying you ordered things you didn't order. If you're a parent and one of your children go to your other kids and says, hey, mommy told me, daddy told me that allowance that he gave out, that you're supposed to give me your allowance. He meant to give it all to me. So give me your allowance. This week and next week's allowance. Daddy said, daddy told me to tell you to give it to me. And you hear your child, you're sitting on the couch and you hear your child tell your other child this. Do you bear any responsibility to say to your children, to the one who's being told this, you know I ain't say that. And to the one who's saying it, boy, stop lying on me. Do you bear any responsibility to clear up? Because if the defense is that's just him, that's just them, that's just some churches, what responsibility does the head of the church have? When I say the head, I'm talking about Jesus. If he's alive and well, if he's able to correct his church, if he's coming back for a church without spot or blemish, at what point does he begin to unblemish his church, to get the spots out of his church? I won't read any more of his BS response trying to clear this up. I'm just curious to you. Does anything he said in his response make it better? Does it make it, you wanted a safe space. The money's moving. You don't want people walking around. You don't want distractions. It's risky. Does any of that make it more tolerable? Is there any justification? Could there be any justification for, I said, close those doors. Close them. Y'all start moving. Come on. This is what religion does. Now, granted, you might think I was never in that kind of church. Each denomination has their own way of making you look like a cult member. Each denomination has their own way of making you look like you don't have any say over your own. Your finances, your Sundays, what you do with your time, how much you serve on this ministry or that ministry. Each church has their own way of ruling over you like this. What did he say? He said something in his response that I wanted to hit on. He said, to those unfamiliar with the church context, we may regulate. This was offensive. That was never my intent. Was that it? My directive was not about control. It was about creating a safe space. There are people who come at me all the time saying, did you leave because of church hurt? I wonder if I was never church hurt. I was never church hurt, ever. I had several situations where when I was a young believer in my late teens, around 17 years old, I left a church because me and the pastor butted heads about what he was seeing in the Bible and what I was seeing in the Bible. So I left that church. Um, Other than that, I don't think I've ever had church hurt. But I also wonder if part of the reason why I never had church hurt is because I think maybe there was a part of me that I always kept back from this kind of control, this kind of manipulation. Um, and I'm even thinking about some things now that I'm like, damn, I wonder if, because there was a long time when the group, the cross movement, the rap group that I was a part of, it functioned as my church in a way. And I guess I need to actually do some internal reflection on, but did I give cross movement? Did I give any of the what was happening in cross movement some of the leeway to kind of speak over my life, or you know, because you always think about being discipled. People who are discipling you, they kind of get this leeway to speak over your life or to shepherd you, and so you almost have to give yourself to that to some degree if you're a Christian. Because I was about to give myself credit for not giving myself to church such that it had that kind of authority over me. And I feel like I kept myself back from that. But I do think in some ways I gave that kind of leeway to people that I thought were discipling me in ministry. So yeah, maybe I was that bought in. I don't think I ever really did keep myself back as much as I'd like to say. But part of you regaining your identity, regaining your sanity, is clawing back. There's this whole thing now, like with Social Security, the rumors about all these overpayments. It's not rumors, there have been overpayments. But what happens when Social Security, when they realize that they've overpaid people, they have a clawback procedure, which is where over the course of time, they garnish your future Social Security earnings, maybe like 10% at a time, until they claw back what the overpayment was. What the new administration wants to do is they want to do an instant clawback. If they realize they overpaid you $2,000, they're not going to just garnish 10% of your future payments back until you've made up that $2,000. They're going to garnish 100% until that $2,000 is paid back. So you have some modest clawback efforts, then you've got some aggressive clawback efforts. Well, in some way, as a person who's deconstructing and deconverting, what you're going to end up having to do is figure out, how do you claw back yourself? Because you gave yourself to this religion, you gave yourself to the authority of these shepherds. You let them tell you what jobs to take, who to marry, how to raise your kids, how to spend your finances. You let them tell you who you are, how much you're going to serve, where you're going to serve, what to think, what to not think. You've given so much of yourself to them. And I think sometimes you begin by just modestly, 10%, I'm going to claw back a little bit of myself. Maybe I'm going to take one Sunday a month to not show up. I'm going to spend that time just recuperating and enjoying my family and sleeping in and whatever. You got these modest little clawbacks of, yeah, I'm taking my autonomy back. And then the others who go the other extreme. So you know what? Give it all. I want it all back. I gave myself to this for how many years? How many decades? I'm taking it all back. Whichever way you come at it, I 100% support your efforts to claw back your life, because you thought you were giving it to God. And I mean, if God is God, why wouldn't you? He's your creator. He owns, as somebody said in the chat a little while ago, he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Your life is God. You thought you were giving it to God. Now you realize that the God you were worshiping is nothing more than the product of men's minds. So now you have to wrestle with the fact, okay, I'm not giving myself to God. Now I'm giving myself to these men, this Christian community, this institution, this vision, this work, this mission. And I want me back. I want my me back. And I'm going to begin the work of taking it back. I support your clawback efforts. That's why I did not just shut up and go away. Like I for sure have been clawing my life back over the last decade. My life is mine and I love my life. I hope, if you don't already, I hope you get to love your life the way that I love my life. But I started my clawback efforts, and I could have just went off into the sunset and do my thing and not look back. I would have been cool. Only reason why I would not have been cool just going away is I would have felt like a piece of shit if I know, damn, there are other people still giving themselves to this lie. And they might even start sniffing out that it's a lie, but then somebody's going to gaslight them into still believing, still worshiping, still following, still giving, still. And I thought to myself, what is my response? What is my responsibility in helping other people realize that you don't have to keep doing this? And so I remain here. I remain public. I remain vocal to help and encourage other people. It's okay to claw back your life, to take back your life. So that's why I'm here. Hopefully this was meaningful to somebody. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking, how you feel about this. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my day, and I hope y'all do the same. Much love. Like I said, I'll be popping on. Somebody said, yo, you're popping on a lot lately. Yeah, like I said, now that I got my free time back, I'm going to be doing this much more often. So Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays, when I don't have scheduled recordings, I'll get on, and I'm going to try to get in the. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, because I'll get on and I'll let you know in advance what's going on. But yeah, like, subscribe, share, please. I'm asking you guys to share this content because got almost 4,000 subscribers, but the views have not been matching it. And I'm trying to figure out what can we do to up that. So share some of this stuff. And yeah, appreciate you all. And I'll get with you. Enjoy your day. Peace.